Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Newcastle City Council regular meeting for September 2nd. The time is 7 o'clock. I'm Mayor Clark presiding. This meeting is being broadcast on our YouTube channel, and it is also being recorded for future viewing. A reminder that if you'd like to sign up for public comment, you must sign up on the sheet that's over there on the dais on the side. And at this time, please rise and join us for the flag salute. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Burford.
Here.
Councilmember Sherlock.
Here.
Councilmember Griffin.
Here.
Councilmember Quigg.
Here.
Councilmember Charbonneau.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lacotia is absent. And Mayor Clark.
Here. Could I get a motion to excuse the Deputy Mayor? Go ahead.
I move to excuse Deputy Mayor Lacotia.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to excuse the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, City Clerk, please note she's excused. Next up is agenda approval. Are there any desired changes or alterations to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, show the agenda approved as written. Next up is public comment, but before that, we have the city attorney to give us a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, the city is in election season, and I've been asked to provide comments regarding state law as it relates to the use of public facilities and election campaigns. In short, state law RCW 42.17a.555 prohibits the use of public facilities to assist a campaign for election of any person to office or to support or oppose a ballot proposition. The Public Disclosure Commission is the state agency with jurisdiction to enforce this statute. The Public Disclosure Commission interprets the statute very broadly to include a prohibition on using the public comment period during an agency's public meeting for these purposes. This applies to council member comments during a public meeting as well. To avoid any potential for violations of this statute, please refrain from making comments that support or oppose a candidate for office or a ballot measure. Please have your comments address issues relating to city business or city functions, not campaign or election issues. This includes references to campaign or election materials such as flyers, letters, or similar communications. The city thanks you for keeping your remarks focused on city issues.
Excuse us 1 second.
Test it. Testing.
Yeah, I hear, I hear fine, but maybe we'll try it again. Maybe it's Curtis tonight.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Okay. Maybe it's just Curtis's mic.
Use this one.
Testing.
Okay. Next up is public comment. So I'll call the people to the podium. If you would like to make a public comment, you have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please turn on the microphone. At 3 minutes, a buzzer will go off. We ask you to wrap up your comments at that time. So first up tonight is Karen Blakely. Karen?
Oh, it goes red. Good evening. Karen Blakely, longtime resident of Newcastle. I'll keep my comments very brief. I just would like to say with the critical budgeting process beginning, I can't imagine a more important time to hold a community meeting and to receive citizen feedback and input. I urge you to reconsider and to reinstate the fall town hall meeting to the calendar. Thank you very much for this consideration.
Thank you. Next up, Kim Vanetta.
Kim Vanetta, the Trails at Newcastle. I respectfully urge the council to reconsider its recent 4-3 vote to cancel the upcoming town hall meeting. This decision undermines vital community engagement. Transparency, accessibility, and public trust are important. Town hall meetings serve as a cornerstone of democratic participation. They provide an irreplaceable opportunity for Newcastle residents to directly engage with you, the elected officials who represent us. The ability to ask questions, share concerns, and hear updates in a live face-to-face format builds a stronger, more informed, and more connected community. This event is even made more accessible by the inclusion of free childcare, which removes a major barrier to participation for parents and caregivers who might otherwise be excluded. Additionally, the Town Hall offers space for local community organizations to connect with residents, an invaluable resource for those seeking services or ways to get involved. Canceling this meeting not only silences voices, but also signals a move away from transparent, inclusive governance that our city is charged to uphold. Mayor Clark, if your time on the council is almost up, why not end it with openness and dialogue, rather than silence and distance from the community? This is your opportunity to reflect and to pass on valuable insight to the public you've served. And Councilmember Quigg, re-election is based on public confidence and transparency. Canceling a town hall that offers direct dialogue and free childcare to encourage turnout raises a serious question. Are you avoiding scrutiny at a time when voters need answers the most? I urge the council to reconsider with a scheduled town hall.
Thank you. Next up is Ed Flash. Ed?
Hi, good evening. Excuse my appearance. I was just at the library putting up our fall art exhibition for the Arts Council. So this is the 8th year that we've done this. So excited. We have a great display. I'd like to invite all of you to come to our opening house tomorrow, meet some of the artists, but it will be up through the end of September. So please come and enjoy some of the great talent that we have in our community. I'm up here to express my opinion about the vote that happened last city council meeting with the town hall. But shoot, I just realized that you guys really don't care about my opinion, do you? And those of the other people in our community, because you canceled the town hall. This is a great opportunity for people to engage with all of you. I, as a community member and as a member of an organization, really appreciate the opportunity to meet with constituents, meet with people in the community, those are our supporters, and to engage with them. I would hope that you guys would also appreciate that as well, for you to hear their opinions, regardless of whether you agree with them or you disagree with them. And I think it's a bad mistake that the city council voted to cancel it, and it sends really the wrong message that you guys don't really care about listening to our opinions as constituents. So thank you, and please reinstate it if you can.
Thank you. Beth McDaniel. Beth?
Good evening, council, city staff, citizens. I too wanted to testify about my concerns about the cancellation at the tail end of last meeting after any opportunity for public comment regarding the cancellation of town hall. It truly feels that this council, or the majority of this council, has a disconnection with the citizens of Newcastle. It reminds me of the last meeting I attended where there was a presentation regarding the city website and how it was not user-friendly for the citizens. There was no way to make quick adjustments to the website, no way to provide emergency alert to citizens. The majority of the council at that meeting said, you know, it's okay, we don't have to vote on that this meeting. Oh, not to mention the cost of the website to the taxpayers. It was said that we don't need to have a town hall because the citizens won't ask questions about the budget. Well, I might not ask a question about the budget because I was afraid of, not sounding intelligent with my budget question. Nevertheless, I do not stand alone in that the budget is a concern for citizens. In this budget cycle, with a preliminary budget, I think it's very appropriate and timely to have a town hall to present the proposed budget to the citizens. And as far as it being an election year, if I were on the council and running for election, I would welcome any opportunity
that I could hear from citizens, meet citizens, while be preparing to answer tough questions and defend my voting record. It is a mistake that the town hall was canceled. It sends a very poor message to the citizens, and I respectfully would ask this council to reconsider that vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen McAleer. Jen?
Hey there, Jen McAleer, China Creek. So like the others who have spoken tonight, I'm deeply disappointed in the recent vote to cancel the town hall. It was a party lines vote with Mayor Clark and 3 MAGA-aligned council members voting to shut down the vital civic forum that in a vote that many are questioning is even legal. Town halls are meant to foster open dialogue, especially in an election year when transparency and accountability should be non-negotiable. Canceling this event appears to be a calculated move to shield certain candidates from public scrutiny and avoid uncomfortable conversations. Perhaps the goal in canceling the meeting is to protect Councilmember Quigg from making more off-the-cuff remarks, like his previous comments about slavery and the LGBTQ community in the last town hall. But instead of eliminating opportunities for public engagement, maybe the better solution would be to help him think before he speaks, or frankly, to encourage him to withdraw from the race altogether. Newcastle deserves thoughtful leadership, not a loose cannon. The decision undermines public trust and sends a troubling message about the value placed on civic engagement. Newcastle deserves leadership that listens, not leadership that hides. We call on the council to reverse the decision and restore the town hall as a space for honest, inclusive dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, has anybody signed up online? Okay, that concludes the first public comment period. A reminder, if you'd like to comment later, there is a sheet for the second public comment period at the end of the meeting. Okay. We have no ceremonial presentations tonight, and we'll start with council comment. I will just remind the council members that the city manager and I have discussed the town hall. He has comments to make, but we're going to discuss it during the planning calendar session, so we will discuss it. Okay, council comment. We'll start with Council Member Quigg.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks everybody for being here. This Saturday is Newcastle Days. I hope to see you all there Saturday celebrating with your neighbors. It kicks off with the Jim Price pickleball tournament. That's going to be fun times. And before that, on Thursday at Risden, the Tony Ventrella Wiffle Ball Classic. So everyone watching this on YouTube and in the audience, hope to see you there. Thank you.
Councilmember Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. I want to welcome everybody here tonight and hear your opinions. And it's good to see you. It's always nice to have some people standing out there or sitting out there watching what we do. Thank you for coming.
Councilmember Schrock.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Yeah, I'll just echo that Newcastle Days is coming up. I'm really excited and hope to see you all out there. And I just wanted to thank Mayor Clark for the veteran pinning ceremony that happened at 6:30. I really appreciate you doing that for the veterans and the community.
Councilmember Burford.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I want to take this moment to wish all teachers, students, and families to the fantastic new school year. And today is the Bellevue School District first day of school. I welcomed my 171 students. It's really, I feel so grateful, making a difference on a daily basis. And also, I want to echo what other council members said. Our Newcastle, one of the biggest events this Saturday is about bringing people together, building community. I hope, I look forward to seeing everyone at our Newcastle Days and related activities. Also, I want to shout out to Ida Flash, with our Newcastle Arts Council, the 8th annual Fall Artist, not only Newcastle, it's a surrounding area as well, art exhibit at the library. a lot of creation behind the scene. Welcome everyone to check it out for all ages. And I think also I want to thank our Mayor Clark for your tireless effort for honoring Vietnam veterans and all the veterans. Yeah, thank you. Because my family is also dear to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Charbonneau?
Thank you. Yeah, I would echo what a lot of other folks said. Happy back to school for all our students, and I know we have a lot of school district employees here in Newcastle. Speaking of, I know we talked about last council meeting, the youth council sort of coming for a vote at this meeting. What's actually going to happen is we're going to consider that at the next meeting, September 16th, Tuesday, September 16th. That'll be because we wanted to take that, we wanted to not rush and make sure we were doing it soundly. So we've put it, we've had Attorney Chambers review it. We've had City Manager Pinkel review it. They sent the language to me shortly before this meeting. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I'm going to take a look at it, and then council will be sent to you Friday in the city manager update. And just to make sure we're all, bases are covered there. I let Ashna know, and she's, super understanding, and got shared with all the folks that were interested in the youth council to go volunteer for Newcastle Days, and posted about it herself on social media to recruit other young people, and is getting some of them to post as well too. So that's great. Yes, incredibly excited for Newcastle Days. A little bit too big for the inflatables like it used to be, but I do want to flag that I was talking to State Representative Janice Zahn, one of our representatives here in Newcastle, earlier. She's going to try to hold a listening session that Saturday morning before sort of the things kick off at Newcastle Days around 8:30. I'm working with her to try to figure out a good location to do that, but that will be happening, and I'm going to try to share more info about that as we go. But that is an option for folks on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor is not here, so it'll be Mayor's comments. First thing I'd like to do is to embarrass him, but congratulate my friend and colleague Tom Griffin. On Sunday, he'll be 90 years old, and you wouldn't believe that by looking at him, because there's a lot of 50 and 60-year-olds who don't look that good. And I'll tell you, congratulations, Tom. You wear it well. So tonight, before this meeting, we had a veterans pinning. We did that last year, and we had a couple of veterans, and I want to thank Councilmember Sherlock because her newsletter got a lot of response, and so we had, I just want to read a couple names. Sharon Mast, the wife of James Mast, he couldn't make it tonight, but he was a pilot during Vietnam. He flew off a Navy pilot, flew off the carrier Oriskany. His friend John Chapman was here, an Army infantryman who was in Vietnam from 65 to 66. And then two pins, which I will be mailing based on some feedback, is Mr. Michael Warner, who lives in Everett. His daughter, Michelle Marish, recommended him, and he was in the 3rd Marine Division from 65 to 67. And on Sunday, I met Mr. Roger Cantrell from the Navy, who served in 71 to 75. So these men, well-deserved welcome home. So, and so on Saturday, during the Newcastle Days, we'll have a VFW booth, first time ever. I want to thank Amy George for helping make that happen. So we can still do the pinnings all the way up until Veterans Day. So if you know anybody, they don't have to be from Newcastle. They serve from 55 to 75. Have them come see us at the booth. If I'm not there, there'll be plenty of other veterans there. We can provide them with a pin. We'd be glad to do that. So let's keep that in mind, or just come by and meet some really great veterans. These guys seen a lot of service, a lot of Vietnam veterans, a lot of action. They would appreciate a thank you, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's it for me then. Mayor comments completed. Next up is council committees. Start with Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. The Finance Committee met Wednesday, August the 27th. Director Chambers presented the July snapshot and the investment report. The finances for year-to-date are in very good shape. One contract amendment was approved with Shockey Planning to complete the critical areas ordinance up to date. Two contracts were approved with American Western Construction to complete the budgeted repairs at the annex for the bathroom repair, mostly reimbursed by insurance, and other improvements to prepare for staff relocation. $125,000 was included in the budget for these items, and the net cost to the city for these contracts is just under $110,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committees? Economic Committee?
Yeah, thank you. So we will be meeting, or normally we're the first Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. We're actually going to be meeting the following Wednesday. We're going to be meeting Wednesday, September 10th at 3 p.m. in the front room in City Hall. I had a work commitment tomorrow I cannot get out of, so staff was very generous in being flexible there for that. So please feel free to join us next Wednesday.
Regional committees? Any regional committee? Councilmember Charbonneau?
Thank you. Yeah, so for the Mental Health and Drug Dependency Committee I'm on, we've been working all year on the sort of sales tax renewal that's going to go due to county rules. It's not one that is a levy on the ballot for voters. It's smaller, and it's a vote from King County Council. So I'm talking with Attorney Chambers. They've asked me, because I've been working on that for the last year or so, to go testify to King County Council. That'll either be September 16th or 23rd. I'm talking to our attorney about it to make sure I testify in the right, wearing the right hat. So whether that's myself or as a SEA member or something like that. So we're covered as a city, but this will be to renew the sales tax through 2034, and it'll be about a $10 million reduction for mental health and human services from what it was prior for a few reasons. But yes, that is coming up for us.
Okay, thank you. In your package tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is a commission report from the CAC. We don't, you can peruse that. If you have questions, please reach out to the council or the CAC. Next up is the city manager. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Just a couple of brief things. Like has been said already, a reminder about Newcastle Days. We're very excited and anxious to get that going. And then the other one is just to be thinking about legislative priorities. As soon as Shelley gets us a draft, our lobbyist gets us a draft of some updates that we discussed as far as a fiscal ask, as well as looking at potentially going after some insurance adjustments as far as how that affects us as far as liability and what cities can be liable for under state law. We'll get that out to the council as soon as we can. But beyond those things that we've talked about briefly, please be thinking about priorities that you want to have come up so that we can have a good discussion about that, as we generally we try to adopt legislative priorities in November. And so we'll keep information in front of you up to that point.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yes, real quick. The last time I recently talked to one of the Bellevue firefighters members, and they had expressed to me some interest about like either sort of collaborating on legislative priorities, or sort of like if we're hearing the things they need, we can maybe like help them elevate that as well too. So I'd love to get sort of have a touch point there with Bellevue firefighters who provide our fire services, and they definitely express that interest. Great.
Any other questions for the city manager? Okay, thank you, city manager. Next up is consent agenda. Are there any desired changes or alterations to tonight's consent agenda? Seeing none, show the consent agenda approved as written. There are no public hearings and there is no unfinished business. The next thing up on general business, item 11.1, is adoption of ordinance 2025-674, approving a non-exclusive franchise with Easy Fiber Texas LLC. City manager, are you lead this, please?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor.
And we have, by the way, we have Austin from Easy Fiber who will answer any questions we may have. Right?
Thank you, Mayor. Easy Fiber made application to the city for a franchise, and we worked through the process and come to agreement in principle on a franchise agreement. It's a telecommunications franchise, and so their intent would be to build out fiber internet services. With telecommunications are generally pretty regulated by the state and the federal government. In the state of Washington, we can't charge them a franchise fee, and so that's not a part of the negotiations. However, they'll pay a small administrative fee to the city. One of the things that we're excited about with this franchise agreement in particular is that, for one, it provides Newcastle residents another internet option, which we don't have many at this point. But it also, for the city's purposes, they'll provide dedicated fiber optic points here at City Hall as well as at the Annex Building, which will give us the opportunity to have our own dedicated fiber lines for the city. And happy to take any questions, and I'm sure Austin can take questions as well.
Okay, other questions for either the city manager or Austin? Seems pretty straightforward, but easy night for you, Austin. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Can I get a motion then, please? Councilmember Charbonneau?
I move adoption of ordinance 2025-674, approving and granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise with Easy Fiber Texas LLC as presented.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 2025-674, approving and granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise with Easy Fiber Texas LLC as presented. Is there any discussion desired? Councilmember Charbonneau, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would just add, I think this is a complaint I think a lot of residents have come to me with of wanting more options for internet providers. I think this is great, and I think the building this out with the fiber optics for our city is awesome. And I think this is just a good path to take. So,
Any other comments? Okay. So the motion is to adopt ordinance 2025-674, approving and granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise with Easy Fiber Texas LLC as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Next up is agenda item 11.2, preliminary discussion of the 2026 budget, fund assumption summaries, and forecasts. City manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So the purpose for tonight is really to talk through the main drivers for the 2026 budget, as far as revenues and expenditures, where we have our major revenue items, savings, and just the main drivers throughout, just to start to dial up what you'll see at the end of the month when we post the preliminary budget and as we get into budget discussions in October. And so we'll go with that. So overall assumptions, big item is we do anticipate being able to present to the City Council a balanced general fund. We think that'll be in the $80,000 to $90,000 range as far as over under. A lot of things go into that. So something that we'll go through the main drivers. So big items are, this will be the final year of ARPA. So ARPA funds have to be spent by the end of December 2026. And so we'll make that final transfer from the Community Reserve Fund to the general fund for those ARPA funds. So that's a big one. This will also be our first year, our first full year for the admissions tax. And so the reason that is, in the current year, we'll only receive 3 quarters of admissions tax because they're due at the end of the month following the quarter. And so this year we'll only receive 3 quarters worth, where in 2026 we'll get that full year's worth. Another big driver is our police reconciliation. And so whatever, with our police contract with King County, whatever they can't deliver as far as officers, they owe us that money back. And right now, and they owe us that money in the year following when they haven't been able to deliver. It's called reconciliation. So for 2025, we're down 2 officers, and we have been for the whole year so far, and we don't anticipate getting an officer before the end of the year. That means in 2026, they'll owe us for 2 officers in reconciliation. And so that's a big driver rather than the 225 or 250 we've been budgeting for that because we've been down one officer. We've increased that because now we're down 2 officers. Another big driver is effective July 1st, 2025, the state legislature reduced the employer portion of PERS pretty significantly, and that'll provide about an $80,000 savings in our benefits costs. So really the employer PERS portion is a big savings. And then in general, I think we have this general discussion every year, but again, as ARPA goes away and with our officers, we don't know when they'll be able to make us whole, or we'll get another officer and only be down 1. And so that reconciliation from year to year in our forecast, we don't continue to forecast being down officers. We forecast that we're going to get the officers that we're contracting for. And so that's a big driver moving forward. And so moving into 2027, when we're looking at the forecast, it becomes much more difficult to balance the budget when you take $700,000 of ARPA away. And if we were whole in the officers that we contract for, that reconciliation amount would go away. All right, revenue assumptions. So in the general fund, I won't go back over those revenues that hit the general fund that were in kind of the overall assumptions. So a big one this year, again, will be new construction property tax. So each year, we are able to increase our property tax revenue by 1% plus the value of new construction. And our activity as far as building has been, we believe it's been similar in the current year as it was last year. And if you remember last year, we had a huge new construction amount. And while we anticipate that, in the preliminary budget that you'll see at the end of the month, we're leaving that additional amount fairly conservative until we know for sure what that amount is. And that usually happens mid-October. And so we'll have our initial, our first budget study session in October before we know what that number is. And so we'll leave it conservative until we know that, yes, we're getting the new construction property tax that we think we may. The amount of the 1% allowable increase for 2026 would be, it's 1% of our current revenue, and so that would be almost $65,000 is the value of that 1% increase. Sales tax will increase slightly. It's coming in strong this year, and we'll continue that trend forward. This year we have really strong development revenue. Building is going like gangbusters right now, which is great, but that also means that there's less on the horizon. And so we'll reduce slightly our development revenue for 2026 simply because there's not as much building on the horizon. Interfund service charges we've talked about for a couple of years now. That one we try to keep that not specific, at least in the general fund revenue portion of it, simply because there's always projects that either get postponed or so any projects we don't do this year that we do next year will go into that number. And what we have to do with interfund service charges is we have to reconcile it every year. And so we have to, the revenue for the general fund for interfund service charges has to be specific to our actual expenses from that year. And so we try to leave that lower than we anticipate for the projects that are anticipated simply because there's always ebb and flow with projects that go or projects that come into the year from the previous year, and so we try to keep that number less specific. The other big one that is worth mentioning is investment interest, specifically in the general fund, because while there's been a dip in interest rates, we'll be able to just about keep our investment interest revenue for the general fund pretty constant with the new separately managed accounts program. Along with earlier this year, the council adjusted the financial policies so that the cumulative reserve portion of investment interest goes to the general fund. And so with those two things combined, that number will stay really high in the general fund for 2026. And we anticipate that that number will stay up around there moving forward. For the street fund, the main things to be aware of in the street fund are that the street fund has very few revenue sources and options. The main ones are the motor vehicle fuel tax, which is coming down slightly each year as we get more electric vehicles on the road and people use less gas. The one strong thing we do have in the street fund is our waste management administrative fee, which is a percentage of their sales, and that increases per the CPI each year. And so we can anticipate each year what the increase in the waste management administrative fee will be. The other main thing from the street fund is that in order to keep the street fund whole, it has to have support from the general fund each year. And that support continues to go up as the street fund has revenue sources that are stagnant or decreasing, and costs don't stagnate or decrease generally. While I won't recommend it this year because I think it's unnecessary in order to balance the general fund. But one thing that the council will need to be aware of and consider moving forward is that we did get that flexibility in real estate excise tax, so that it can be used for street maintenance. I'm not going to recommend that this year simply because the general fund is okay without it. As the general fund struggles in future years, the city council will have to haggle with that. As far as the swim fund goes, the main issue for the council to consider is primarily that the last swim rate study recommended a 3% increase through 2029, but the council has only taken action to make that increase through the current year. And so if we were going to continue that 3% increase each year, the council will need to take action on that this year if we want to continue that 3% increase. As far as capital projects, our current year revenue for transportation impact fees and park impact fees is really strong. But that's also because we've brought that projection down so much from previous years. And so we're not taking them down real far again in 2026, but we're taking them down enough to consider the building that we have on the horizon. REIT continues to come in at least consistent. Up until a few years ago, REIT had been consistently closer to 2.4 million. And that's the assumption that we had in a lot of our improvement plans. We've brought that assumption down to about 1.7 million because that's been more a safer number over the last few years. And so we don't want to overextend our projection on REIT fees, on REIT revenue with what we think we're going to be able to build over our 6-year plan. And so we brought that down. And then on the expenditure side, so things that affect all funds and then general fund specific, I am going to recommend a slight increase in FTEs, just 0.2, and that's just changing our events and rec coordinator position from 32 hours a week to 40 hours a week. We'll have an 8% increase to health benefits as budgeted, and that's per AWC, who we get our health benefits through. We're really excited about the small increase in liability insurance this year. Again, that is primarily due to our history, and so only a 2% increase in liability and 1% in auto physical. few cities will see that low of an increase in liability insurance this year, and so we're excited about that. And like I said, that's due to our history. The big hits in the general fund are an 11% increase to the fire contract, which is about $337,000, and a 6.5% increase to the police contract, which would be about another $200,000. And then the June to June CPIU is 2.7%, and that is our guide for cost of living adjustments to our salary schedule. For capital improvement funds, we'll follow our 6-year plans, so I didn't want to list that all out. But just for a taste of that, we do have the projects listed here that REIT will go to. So we're anticipating about $2.15 million of REIT going towards the Transportation Capital Fund, and then $85,000 of REIT going towards Parks Capital. And as I said, those are projects that per the Transportation Improvement Plan and the Parks Improvement Plan that are on for 2026. And go to the next. And then same thing for equipment replacement. This is what will be in the budget for replacement vehicles for 2026. Way fewer vehicles, but we have the big one in there as far as replacing the dump truck. And then this is just the 6-year fund forecast summary. This will continue to be in flux until we post the preliminary budget. Really what you want to pay attention to is the red. But even from the time I pulled this to right now, we've made the adjustments in service water. We were missing some grants on the revenue side, as well as in our capital funds as far as evening those out, so that at the top there, as far as beginning fund balance, most of that red is gone. The main red that you'll continue to see is in 2031, the red in the general fund. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions for city manager? Oh, well, then I'll go. I have a few. Oh, did you have one? Oh, okay. In random order, I didn't really, so the red on this slide in the swim fund, is that assuming we do or don't pass the 3%? Or is that not even related to that?
It's not super related to that. Partly, that assumes, the swim fund assumes 3% through 29.
Okay.
The red there is simply because we didn't have, so for 2027, is when we're supposed to do the railroad embankment project. And that is completely grant funded at this point, and we didn't have a couple of the grants listed in the iteration that's up here.
Okay.
And so that's been remedied.
And when you said the 3%, when are we deciding that? When is that coming up on our agenda this year for the swim fund?
So it can come up anytime. My plan was to put it in front of the council once we get through our budget discussions.
Okay. Okay. I noticed under equipment, you have a new skid steer. I'm not aware that we have a skid steer now. Is that true? Are we buying something, new piece of equipment?
That would be a new piece of equipment.
And for what reason? I mean, is that not something we can rent occasionally rather than incurring the liability of one?
So I think we use it enough and are renting them enough that it's better if we get one. It's something that has been in the plan since we put the new plan together.
So assuming we've done an analysis on the cost of
Right.
that. Okay. Remind me, please, what is covered under general liability? Is that employee health or what? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
So general liability is just our liability insurance. That's not health benefits or anything like
It's
that.
not related to employees. It's just liability for activities that occur in the city.
Right.
Okay. I got you. City neglect or something like
Right.
that. Okay. All right. Those are my 3 questions. No other questions? Councilmember Quick?
I just want to circle back to the police officers. I know you said you can't predict when we're going to get the 2 officers we're owed, but what are other cities seeing? Can you just explain to me how the process works around us getting the full complement of police officers?
Sure. So the nice thing about the contract cities and what we continue to press on the sheriff's office is that the contract cities, which we're one of, we pay to play. And so we're paying for the officers that we're asking for. Where if they have budget issues or whatever, that shouldn't affect us because we're paying to play. That should affect unincorporated or whatever. So what they, with their, as they continue to try to recover from all the exodus from COVID and whatnot, as they hire officers and people come on, they continue to struggle with, okay, people retiring or people leaving, along with how many they can bring on. At the current level, they're dedicated to keeping the contract cities manned at least 80% of what we contract for. And as they continue to get additional officers, they'll try to move that to 90%, and then we would get one. And then as they get full, we would be made whole as well. And so every city is in the 80% range for the officers that they contract for versus who they actually have.
Other questions? Councilmember Charbonneau?
Thank you. City Manager Pingle, I'm noticing that in like several of in your update you sent to council on Friday, there's several projects that are coming in under what we expect the engineer's estimate to the bid would be. Is that reflected, are the actuals for this going to be reflected in the budget, or those will be reflected in the one we brought in November?
Yes. So the actuals would be reflected in projections for 2026. It would only affect what we project as fund balances for the next year.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if like that's a continual kind of tweaking we're doing.
So internally, yes, that's part of a continual tweaking we do. As far as the council is concerned, that's why we'll put, usually we'll have a second or a third budget amendment to put in front of you, depending on if something came in really high, then we have to put a budget adjustment in front of you to increase the budget for that item. When it's lower, we generally don't adjust the budget down. That just becomes fund balance.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Councilman Burford?
Yeah, so I heard you mentioned also it's from the slide in 2031. So general fund is red. Can you just explain briefly? So how we can prevent that?
So the projection assumes status quo. And so like we've been talking about for a few months, as much as we can drive down general government pales in comparison to the rise in public safety costs. And that's primarily where that imbalance comes from over the long term. So for the third year in a row, you'll see in the 2026 preliminary budget that general government costs are lower than the previous year. But we have $537,000 of increase between police and fire.
So even though we don't have a full police officers?
Right. So like I said, when we get to this point where we're preparing the preliminary budget for the following year, we have a good idea of whether we're going to get officers that we don't currently have. So right now we contract for 12 officers. We only have 10, and we know that just in our discussions with King County Sheriff's Office, we're confident we're not going to get another officer before the end of the year. And so we know that we can budget what we can budget for reconciliation for the following year. But in the forecast, we don't know that.
Yeah, as you said.
If we get 2 officers next year, then from 27 on, that reconciliation goes away.
Yeah, so we pay for police officers, and so since we only have 10, other than 12, so we also get a refund
Right.
every year. So that money right now we can also put in the general fund, right?
Right, so
So-
really what you see with that is it becomes a negative expenditure.
Yeah.
And so we'll have our police contract, our police contract is a line item in the general fund. And then the next item is called police reconciliation, and that'll be a negative number. And so that $450,000 that we were talking about earlier in reconciliation will budget negative $450,000. So it'll be a negative expenditure because we're getting that money back. But in the forecast, so from 27 on, in the forecast, we don't budget that reconciliation.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. There was in this, in the packet, City Manager, there was a strategic plan update. Did you want to say anything about that, or is that just for our own information?
So that's for your information, and we can talk through it if the council would like. All that is taking our previous discussion on the strategic plan and the adjustments that the council asked for, along with then taking what is planned for 2026, and then the next project out for each of those as updating the priority ones and priority twos.
Okay. All right, so final questions, anybody? Okay. Thank you, City Manager. Okay, moving on to additional public comment. So I assume there'll be public comment, so a reminder that if you're called up, please come up to the podium, state your name and neighborhood. I didn't say that before, but you'll have 3 minutes to talk about whatever you'd like. The buzzer will sound at the 3 minutes, and we ask you to wrap it up at that point. First up, Mary Vickers.
Thank you. I'm going to read an email that I sent out that got 0 response from the council members that I emailed. I'm writing to express my deep concern over the recent decision to cancel the planned town hall for our community. Town halls are one of the few opportunities when residents can engage directly with elected officials, ask questions, and share perspectives in an open forum. It was particularly troubling to hear the mayor characterize these gatherings as a, quote, waste of time, followed by several members voting in agreement without any explanation. To many of us in the community, that decision sends a message that resident input is not valued or prioritized. I'm especially disappointed that Councilmember Quigg chose to support this cancellation. As someone currently running for a 4-year seat, you would think that this is something that would put trust in the public. Participating in open dialogue with residents should be a core responsibility of anybody asking for elected office. Our city is strongest when there is open dialogue between council and residents. Even when discussions are challenging, the transparency and accountability that town halls foster are essential to good governance. Canceling them diminishes trust and limits opportunities for constructive collaboration. I respectfully ask that you reconsider your position and provide clarity on why you voted to end this important avenue for community connection. Many residents, myself included, want to ensure that our voices are not only heard but respected in the decision-making process. Thank you for your service to our city, and I hope that you will take this feedback to heart.
Thank you. Carol Simpson. Carol?
Good evening, Council. Carol Simpson, I live in Newcastle. What she said, I really agree. And I want to add that you're misrespecting the public by thinking that it will become political. We can follow rules. We hear from the attorney. We can follow rules. It won't become political. How many people show up for a public hearing to weigh in on your tax levy, to weigh in on the budget? Very few. How many people like to speak to that at town halls? A lot. Former council member Bill Erksleben advocated for town halls in the fall. The watchdogs wanted this. They wanted a budget town hall. And now you're canceling the budget town hall. We don't have enough transparency. The actual numbers from 2025 are not in an easy place to find for us to understand how spending went down for last year what you just presented was really high level. Just because you meet regularly with your city manager and you all understand the budgets and the amendments doesn't mean we do. It's not being presented in a format that we understand. This is going backwards. In 2004 and 2005, previous year actuals didn't appear in the budget documents. It took 2 years to get previous year's actuals into the budget document. In order to budget, you need to know what was spent last year. How did it happen? So, and it needs to be down to the department level, not the fund level that you just saw. Second, again, I spoke to the town hall. Lastly, today is the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Japan. VJ Day. This is important to me because my grandfather was aboard that ship, USS Missouri, when they signed the surrender. Commodore Simpson commanded the Task Force Flotilla 6. He orchestrated and planned the rescue of over 7,500 Allied prisoners of war and civilians interned in Japanese concentration camps. In 1945, the Navy's Task Force 30.6, commanded by Commodore Simpson, arrived in Tokyo Bay to undertake the emergency evacuation of Allied POW in waterfront areas. Accompanying Simpson were Commander Harold Stassen, USNR, Flag Secretary to the Commander, 3rd Fleet, and Admiral William F. Halsey. For this rescue, he was honored with the Legion of Merit, which stated, by freeing the prisoners before the actual signing of the surrender, he saved the lives of hundreds of sick and starving U.S. service people. So I remember this day.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you for that remembrance. Shame on me for forgetting to say that at the beginning of the meeting, but it is VJ Day, and it's an important day in our history. So thank you, and your grandfather's service is much appreciated. And just to add to that, there was a lot of people, who were rescued at the last second who would have died because they were treated so horribly. So your grandfather did a great service to our country. City Clerk, is there anybody signed up online? Okay, that concludes the second public comment. Planning calendar. So we'll start out with the favorite topics. City Manager, you want to address the town hall for us, please?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask the city council that if there's a desire to cancel the town hall, that an official vote is taken. And this is why I am asking you to do that. The city council has two basic ways to provide direction to staff. You can do it by majority vote, or you can do it by consensus of the council. And consensus of the council means that there's no indicated dissent on a particular direction. And so I would argue that you provided that general consent at the 7:15 meeting about holding a town hall, and September 30th generally was agreed upon. And so in order to cancel the town hall, so we moved forward with that in mind. September 30th got booked. We've started to promote that. And so in order to undo that, something formal has to happen. Where at the last meeting there was a straw vote taken, but that's really what it was. It was who wants to have this and who doesn't, but no motion or second. I can't take that as direction to then stop the town hall. And so I'm asking the council to, if there's a desire to not have the town hall, that you vote on that.
They did. As I recall, in the last meeting, the mayor asked if there was any interest in canceling the city hall. No vote was taken, no motion was made, and you're right. And you're right that that's how we give you direction. But it came out in a newsletter that I got in my email that we had a vote and a motion and a vote, and the vote was 4-3. That didn't happen. So at this point, I guess I should make a motion either to cancel the city hall or to have the city hall. It doesn't make much difference how you do it because it depends on how the vote's gonna go. So I make a motion that we have the city hall, the town hall, on September the 30th as planned, and we go ahead with the plan that we have.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to have the town hall. Now, the city manager, is that acceptable for you? Or are you looking, we've already,
So I think that's,
Do I need to
Already
make a motion to,
yeah, I think
all right,
we're already
I'll make
having a
motion
town
to
hall. I
cancel the
think.
city hall.
Yeah, I think we have to.
so if there's no motion needed to have the town hall, it's been planned.
Right.
And it's already scheduled.
Right.
If somebody wants to cancel it, they need to make a motion to cancel it. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. Is there anybody who desires to make a motion to cancel the town hall that's scheduled?
I'll make a motion to cancel it, and I'll tell you why afterwards.
And I'll second that.
Okay, I'm speaking to my motion.
So I'll speak to your motion.
Go
ahead.
Last year, when we had the town hall, we had a council member who was an ad hoc committee in safety. And it was embarrassing. Number one, I couldn't hear anything he was saying because the sound system was awful. But I could see what was going on. There was a number of people from the audience attacking the council member and telling him that he wasn't transparent. He was. We had a couple of council members also feeding on the attack. And if that's the way we have our town halls, it's terrible. It's embarrassing. So, I believe that the town halls are important, but not in the form that we had in the September town hall last year. It's terrible. So.
Okay, I seconded that motion, and I'll speak to that now. So, a lot of what Councilmember Griffin said, I agree with. So, to put the history, we'll start with the history first of all. So, I've been up here for 4 years, and the first time ever that we had a second town hall was last year when myself, Pratama, Tom, and Steve became the majority. So, and we had it at Risden, which was cheaper than it was at the expensive city, golf course. So the idea was to have transparency about the budget, but we got no budget questions. All we had to do, we sat there all evening and we heard the typical blowhards beating up on Steve Tallman because they hate public safety. And it's pretty shocking to say that people hate public safety, but that's what we heard all meeting the last second town hall. You can see it right now in Washington, D.C. The Democrats are mad as hell that crime is going down. So that kind of makes sense, I suppose. So the second town hall is supposed to be about the budget, but there won't be any budget questions. It'll be a tax on myself and Tom and Pratama and Jim, and that's all it is. The people who say they want transparency don't ever email us. They don't ever come to the finance meeting. They don't speak at budget hearings. They just want to stand up at the town hall so they can hear themselves speak. And so it's disappointing to say that because transparency is very important. And if the town hall was productive, I'd be all for it. But it's just not how it goes, and everybody knows that. And the people who are saying we need a town hall are the ones who are going to stand up, mark this moment, 8:03, are going to stand up at the town hall and just attack, right? And there's going to be some who are going to say, oh, look at me because I'm running for council, or look at me because I did this or that, right? And that's what it's going to be. There may be a budget question, but I doubt it, and it'll be a tax. Right? And we all know that, and mark it, 804, 803, 804. Go back and say, Mayor Clark said it. And I pray that I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be, right? So if there's a town hall, and I'm sure there's going to be enough votes to be a town hall, I'll be there, and I'll remind you what I just said. So I'm not in favor of the town hall, simply because I've had people, I've asked neighbors and friends, please come to the town hall, and they say, don't ever invite me to that again. What a cluster blank. What a mess. Why on earth would I go back to one of those where it's just nothing but vicious attacks and the same people who are just angry at themselves and angry at life, just screaming and yelling at the council? Why do the people don't want to go? They just don't want to go. So I don't even ask people to show up anymore. So it's a shame. So that's my reasoning. So at this point, I'll open it up to discussion. So on the vote. Go ahead, Councilmember Charbonneau.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I think I would like to also share my own experience with this. Having also been on council for 4 years, I found that the first town hall we had, the first 2 years we had a singular town hall each year, and I push for wanting to have more town halls because I think it's a good opportunity for folks to engage with government. We'd had them at the golf course, we'd had them more formal. And in the very first town hall I had an older woman come up to me and say she didn't know how to navigate sort of the city systems, and she had a question. And it was something that was specific about a road near her house that I didn't have on the spot. So I said, okay, can you, I was trying to get the question to pass along, and she wrote down it for me and handed it to me on a note, old-fashioned, so that I could bring it to our public works director and get that question answered. And if that woman didn't come to the town hall, she would not have been able to get that question answered. And I also had a gentleman who come up to me and talk to me at the end of the town hall that was a professor of civics at Bellevue College. And he asked me, and he asked Mayor Clark as well, can we come speak to his civics class? And then and I did so because I wanted to speak to local college students, and his civics class now comes to every single town hall because he can't get them to come to a city council meeting based on their schedule, but he can get them to come to a town hall meeting. And just like that, I saw our local scoutmaster bring his entire scout troop to town hall to engage with local government. And I'm not going to sit here and posture that what my colleagues are describing doesn't happen at all. It's not zero, right? It's a non-zero chance, but I think the instance they're referencing with Councilmember Tallman, that deserves scrutiny. That was deserved questions, and I welcome questions too for a committee I'm running, because that's part of my job. That's what I signed up for with the whole public service gig. So just because you have one or two negative experiences, I don't think that's a reason to cut off public dialogue. I think there's so many young folks that I've seen that work that can't come to a regular city hall setting, can't come to a regular town city council setting. And I think while us sitting here are really steeped in sort of maybe the elections, maybe the work that's going on, that's not 95% of people. And the 95% of people do come as the town hall for a means to engage. That's why I was really appreciative in the past when, the mayor and the deputy mayor and those folks supported the idea of having more town halls. And, it's objectively, it's not 100% what is being described. We have folks asking questions about power lines. We have folks asking questions about housing. We have folks I've never seen before in other settings coming to that setting to engage. So to me, there is some general nastiness with local politics. I think I'm not going to say it's not going to be zero. I think we can continue to work on it. I think we continue to make ourselves available. And I think it's bold of us to assume that everyone is as specifically maybe jaded on this topic as some of us might be. I think it's bold of us to assume people won't ask questions that have meaningful engagement, that won't have value. And I don't think we can ever do enough to go to where people are. I don't want to sit here as a government and demand people to come to us. I want to do as much as we can to go to them. So I think it's more than it's sort of being, I think it's being pigeonholed as to what a town hall really is up here. And I think it's a really good avenue for folks to engage, and I think it's a win for the city. So I won't be supporting this motion.
Any other comments? Okay, the motion on the floor is to cancel the town hall. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, the town hall will not be canceled. Motion fails 2-4. So, city manager, what else do you need from us regarding this topic? So we're scheduled for the 30th at what time? Remind us.
6 o'clock, I believe.
6 o'clock doors open or 6 o'clock start?
I think it's 6 o'clock start, 5:30 doors.
5:30 doors open. Okay. All right. Anything else on the planning calendar? Go ahead.
The main thing upcoming for the council's attention is we plan on putting the second budget adjustment in front of the council on September 16th. We'll have a few other items, but that's the big one. We'll have a couple of consent items, another opioid settlements continue to roll through. They're the same as all the previous ones, and so that will require a council motion. We'll put, we had another franchise application from Forged Fiber. We'll put that in front of the council as soon as we get through negotiations with them.
Questions on the planning calendar for the city manager? Okay, so the next meeting will start at, no early starts, 7 o'clock, right? Okay? Okay, seeing no other questions, we'll see you at Newcastle Days. Meeting's adjourned.